Welcome to the MLMsuccess.com podcast, the show designed to return the network marketing industry to its roots of personal growth, leadership development, and wisdom of the ages success principles. We share with you real success stories from real people that we hope will inspire and encourage you personally and help you progress forward in your business and your life. We believe if you build people, people will build the business. Now here is your host, who has been called the number one mind in network marketing, the MLM prophet, network marketing virtual mentor, and a host of other names that we will not mention because this is a family show. Frankly, he's just a small town guy that figured out that the real product in network marketing is people. Dale Calvert.
Hey, this is Dale Calvert. I'd like to welcome you to this session of the MLMsuccess.com podcast. I'd like to welcome you to this week's session. I hope you've had a great week. If you're taking notes, transforming knowledge into action and action into income generating results. That's what we're going to talk about in this week's podcast. I appreciate you being with us. I hope again that you've had a phenomenal week. Things are going great for you. To start out with this podcast, I need to give a shout out to Marilyn Cox in Toronto, Canada. How you doing, Marilyn? I hope you're doing well. Over the last 10 days or so, I've responded to over 1,100 emails from you guys. We've sent out a survey to a large section of our list here 2 or 3 weeks ago, our email list over at MLMhelp.com. Not everybody, but a large section, and got a lot of responses. All of you that responded back and also listen to this podcast, sincerely appreciate your responses. It helps me more than you know. But Marilyn said in her response back, and she was referring to last week's podcast, where the title of that was, "You don't need more training, you need leads. You need more leads. You don't need more training, you need more leads." And she responded to that. And I'm just going to read her response here, part of it. She said, when you said you don't need more training last week, I felt like it was for me. I will continue with the training and listening and working on trainings at my own pace, not being concerned about being behind or leaving room in my day, and make sure I'm leaving room in my days for lead generation. So I'm going to continue to get my training at my own pace. I'm not going to worry about missing a company call where they say the same thing they have always said, or listening to got to be here and got to be there. And, we can get overtrained, which I've done a podcast about that in the past. But just to continue, she says, lead generation activities, which are more important. I don't need to spend time figuring out marketing tactics, as the company has already provided plenty of material already, and you have too. Thank you, Dale, Marilyn. So there's a lot of insight into her message, and there's a lot of awareness in her message, and there's a lot of to thy own self be true mentalities in her message. And it's going to be a lot of what we're going to talk about this week. Again, how do you transform knowledge into action, and then that action into money-making results or income-producing results? How does that flow happen? Because most positive things in life don't happen without some self-awareness and thought. Most don't. Self-awareness and thought. It doesn't happen just by accident. And again, it's been very enlightening for me over the last 10 days or so as I've replied to a ton of you guys. I've had some one-on-one consultations with several, just sit down over the phone for 20 minutes. And it's been very good for me, and hopefully it has been for you. I have really been surprised at the number of people that are no longer involved in the network marketing business model, but still listen to this podcast every week. And if that's you, just an extra shout out to you. I sincerely appreciate that. And I do. So I know that I'm talking to several of you right now. And what I would like to say to you guys is be thankful that you could admit to yourself that you're no longer working your business. 95% of you are pursuing other vehicles at this point, business vehicles, which is awesome. I'm very excited and glad for you that you are. And understand that most people in network marketing are working it at about the same level you are now. The only difference is you've admitted it to yourself, and you're spending your educational time in other areas and other vehicles, and you're moving forward, and that's all good. Network marketing is full of a lot of people that are in a state of self-delusion. They just are. You know, they're just, it's a social club. It's a social club where people get to have their business cards with them. You know, it just is. And, you know, they get to get on their guru's webinar once a week, and maybe they'll holler out their name or something, give them some recognition. It's crazy. And that is the majority of people that are involved in this profession. They call it a business, but they're not working it like a business. So it was really insightful for me, and I so appreciate all of you that responded to the email. And it means a lot. It sincerely does. It keeps me where I need to be as far as trying to figure out the best way to help people understand the realities of what it takes to build a real duplicating team of people. I had one interesting conversation I'll share with you guys, and we're going to get into the meat of this week. But this guy 15 years ago was $1 million plus earner. And I've known him for several years. And he asked if he could spend 20 minutes on the phone, which was fine, and we scheduled the time. And he told me, and I would never obviously ever reveal his name or say anything beyond what I'm getting ready to share, but was a $1 million earner 15, 18 years ago, and right now is in the process of filing for bankruptcy. How sad is that? And we had a very truthful, upfront conversation. He said, Dale, you remember back in, I don't know, it was 19 years ago or so, 18, 19 years ago. He said, when we were sitting at the Starbucks and you said, don't stay in the toys phase too long. Don't stay in the toys phase too long. He said, yeah. He said, I didn't listen to you. I didn't listen to you. And he said, if I knew then what you were saying, and I knew that now, he said, my life would be a whole lot different. I said, all any of us can do. We're all going to make mistakes. Live, learn, move forward. That's all we can do is live, learn, and move forward. That's it. The past is the past. You know, you can't do anything about bad decisions of the past. You know, why? And he was really beating himself up, and I just tried to, you know, help him realize, you know, we all make bad decisions in life. The secret is to try to get to the end of it without having made too many. I mean, that's really what you're trying to do, is trying to not make too many bad decisions, and, you know, to work towards worthy goals. And, you know, when you fall down, get back up. The only difference between a big shot and a little shot's a big shot is a little shot that kept on shooting. Can they fall down and get back up? That's the game. That's life. That's the way it is. So don't beat yourself up. But then I talked with a number of people via email that all seem to be coming from the same position. Like they've been around 15, 20 years in the industry. They believe in the concept of network marketing, but they've really never gotten serious about building a team. And they don't understand why they haven't ever gotten serious, because they like the people. A lot of people like the people. They like the motivation. They just don't like the expansion of their comfort zone and the work. Did you hear what I said? There's many people on your team. They love you. They love your company. They love your products. They talk about building a business, but they don't want to expand their comfort zone and dedicate the time, energy, and effort to go to work and deal with the rejection and everything that goes along with building a duplicating organization of people. So the bottom line, and we're going to talk about 3 things today, but there's reasons entrepreneurs succeed, and there's reasons those that think they want to be entrepreneurs fail. There's reasons people succeed, and there's reasons those that think they want to be an entrepreneur or hang around listening to entrepreneurs or in entrepreneurial groups, but they aren't moving forward and progressing in whatever business that they have chosen. So I'm going to give you three concepts, 3 ideas, and it'll help you as you build your team and you're working with people, because your people, as well as yourself, but your people have to go through these 3 phases. And if they don't, they'll never achieve their full upside potential in this profession. Number 1 is to accept the fact that specialized knowledge is needed. Accept the fact that specialized knowledge is needed, and that's in any business endeavor. And, you know, the odds are, if you're listening to this podcast, you wouldn't be listening to podcasts if you hadn't pretty much accepted the fact that some specialized knowledge is going to be required. That's who podcast listeners are. They understand this concept. But there's always a but in there. But knowledge without action leads to self-delusion. And there's a lot of podcast listeners that listen to multiple entrepreneurial podcasts every week that have major self-delusion and have not accepted that. And they cannot move beyond it because they cannot identify and accept the fears and move through the fears that they have that prevent them from putting the knowledge that they've gained into action. Knowledge without action leads to self-delusion. So, again, there are some people that just learn through osmosis. There's a lot of network marketers that have been around the industry 15, 20 years, and they can quote the quotes. You know, they can talk the talk. Doesn't necessarily mean they've ever walked the walk, but they can talk the talk, but not because they've learned specialized knowledge intentionally. They've learned from just osmosis, from just hanging around. Because how much can you really say? You know, I mean, this is when you peel the curtain back, it's a pretty simple business. And, you know, there's only certain ways that you can explain the what's necessary to move forward, no matter who's talking, no matter who's speaking. And so the speaker is either coming from telling people what they want to hear so they can sell them what they want to sell them, or they're coming from real world background experience, understanding, and are very value focused and wanting to help people that have chosen the network marketing business model as the vehicle to build their dream, to sincerely grow, learn, and progress. And they've done enough self-analysis and enough understanding about the human psyche and how people think that they're able many times to help people start thinking about how they think, to become more self-aware, to start understanding what's holding them back. What are the thoughts that prevent them from moving forward? Because it's always thoughts, and we like to take thoughts and turn them into excuses. But it all starts with thought. And people turn thoughts into excuses, and people who make income and progress forward in any business venture don't make excuses. People that make excuses don't move forward, don't create income. People that make excuses, they just don't move forward. Those that don't allow themselves to make excuses and to talk to themselves right and to tell themselves, I will, I can, I'm going to, I am already making it happen. And they speak their world into existence, they end up progressing and creating income. People who make money don't make excuses. Those that make excuses don't make money. And that's just kind of the way it is. And you can accept it, or you can say, yeah, but my situation is different. But it's when it's all said and done and you peel the curtain back, it's just an excuse. Because there's somebody that's had it worse than you have, that have persisted and gotten through worse circumstances than you have. And if they've done it, why can't you? It's that simple. So these people that learn through osmosis, you got to be aware of and understand. If you listen real closely, they reveal themselves. They've never been a student. They've never learned intentionally. They've always had the confidence that goes with ignorance. I call these people Jeanettes, the ones that learn through osmosis, and they're out there. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot in this profession. And from all the emails and the correspondence I've had, I'm just convinced that some people have trouble getting out of their own way. Just getting out of their own way. I don't understand. It's like they cannot get out of their own way. They don't have the ability to let themselves succeed. And I don't know if it's because they don't think they deserve it. Going back to, maybe I don't know. I know it's programming, but it's amazing to me that people can be programmed in such a way when the answer can be right in front of them. Right here. It's right here in front of you. And they look right through the answer because sometimes the answers are so clear that we see right through them. It's like they're a sliding glass door that's been perfectly cleaned, and we're looking through the door and we're seeing the outside but it's so clear, the door's so clear that we might forget to open it and just bang into it. The answers are not difficult. They're really not. If you're listening to the right people, they're not difficult. Now, taking the answers and implementing them in the marketplace, that's a whole different subject. But they're not that difficult. So I see so many people, again, they just getting in their own way. I mean, last week we had the office, they said, Dale, why are we getting so many questions about local MLM leads? And I don't know. And Don said, well, didn't you mention that on the podcast? Weren't you talking about leads on the podcast? I said, oh yeah, I guess I was. And they were saying, we're getting so many emails about people wanting to know, should they order it? Will these methods work in today's market? And all these questions that people were coming up with for whatever reason. And again, I think it equates back to not being able to get out of their own way. And it was just astounding to me. It's like, it's either clear or it's not. It either makes sense or it doesn't. And frankly, I think the webinar that we do over at localmlmleads.com, that webinar, if people will listen to it and turn off their social media and they sincerely, want to pay attention, turn off the TV and really listen, that is the answer to how, in today's market, you master network marketing lead generation. To me, it's very concise, very clear, and probably the key word, very sequential. And that training, it is white belt to black belt. That training speaks for itself. It's just full of logic. Now, I'm not saying, I'm going to teach you how to create so many leads. Your phone will be ringing off the hook and people are going to be yelling their credit card in the phone, demanding to join you and buy the highest package your company has available. See, I don't play those games. I know that if I did, I would sell a whole lot more selling foo-foo dust and promising people the sun, the star, and the moon. I get that, but I like to sleep good at night. I don't want to, I'm not going to do that because I'm just not going to do it. So, when I look at lead generation, and if you just stop and think about it and recruiting in general, there's just a few questions that you got to get solid with in your mind, not in my mind, in your mind. In your mind. Do you believe that recruiting and network marketing just simply comes down to finding the right person at the right time in their life? Yes or no? Does it have anything to do with closing? Because if you're going to teach people how to close people, then all you end up doing is wasting everybody's time. Network marketing is about finding the right people at the right time in their life. Everybody listen to me right now, wherever you are in the world, whatever company you're involved with. There would have been a time in your life when you would have not considered joining a network marketing company. There would have been a time in your life where the timing was just not right for whatever reason. And again, it could be, in your mind, it's not right, so therefore it's not right or whatever. I mean, it could be based upon facts or not. Doesn't matter. Maybe you had one of your parents was in hospice care. I mean, the possibilities are endless. But my point is, we're looking for the right people at the right time in their life, not people that we can expose and close and then beg them to stay on auto ship one more month for the next 90 days until they ultimately quit. That's no fun. That's not a business. That's a chore. So you either believe that or you don't believe it. And then do you believe the formula that I've shared for over 20 years? And that is X number of people contacted, exposed, X number of people exposed to your product and or your opportunity equals your reasons, your top 3 reasons for joining fulfilled. X number of people contacted equals reasons fulfilled. In other words, for you to get from where you are now to where you want to go to the goal that you're working towards right now on your top 3 list, for that to happen, for you to be able to pay off that credit card or to be able to buy that new car or to buy that first home or take your kids to Disney World or whatever's on your list, before that's going to happen, there's X number of people that you're going to have to expose before that becomes a reality. I don't know what that number is. I don't know what X is. But I do know you have an X. We all have an X. X number of people contacted equals reasons fulfilled. It's a numbers game. You're looking for the right people at the right time in their life. So that's one of the reasons we ask people to listen to the Jim Rohn CD, How to Build a Network Marketing Business. And we don't say listen to it. We say memorize it. Because why? It teaches at a high level the reality, the truth in the parable of the sower. Jim does on that CD, which is teaching the law of averages, which comes back to X number of people contacted equals reasons fulfilled. Now, you either believe that or you don't. But if you do, don't ever doubt it. You got to get real with proven wisdom of the ages concepts and get them from your head to your heart, where you live every day with those concepts and principles operating in your business and in your life. It's not just something, not just a cool quote that you read on Instagram. I mean, it's not. It's got to be more than that so you can get solid and so you can get out of your own way because you're making decisions based upon wisdom of the ages principles, not based upon somebody's emotions or somebody's foo-foo dust or hype. You're basing it on wisdom of the ages principles, like the parable of the sower. Next question. Do you understand the duplication factor of one person in network marketing? The power of that one person can create dozens, hundreds, thousands of additional team members and product consumers. One person. The duplication power of one person. I think last week I talked about the postcard, that, created over $250,000 in income for me in about a 3 or 4 or 5 year period. Paid for every postcard I've ever mailed. One person, the duplication factor of that. So if you understand those things, then the next logical question is, if you understand it's a numbers game and all that, it's real simple. Are you getting through enough people on a daily, weekly, monthly basis through your current lead generation activities? Are you getting through enough people that enable you to add 3 to 5 brand new customers / team members every month? Are you generating enough leads to get through enough people through your play 1, play 2, where you're recruiting 3 to 5 new people a month? And if you're not, and you saw the webinar at Local MLM Leads, do you think the information there will help you get your numbers to a point? It might not be the answer. There might be other things you're going to need to do, because I don't know your product. I don't know your service. I don't know your skill level. But I do know that the information covered there is evergreen, and it will help you. Do you believe it will help you master lead generation and get your numbers to 3 to 5 a month so you can control your own destiny? And if you do, you either believe it or you don't. You either understand it or you don't. And sometimes things are so clear that we try to distort them. And it's like, and again, guys, I don't want this to come across wrong. You're more than welcome anytime. We have staff, their job is answer your questions. And we're more than happy to do that, because we realize we have newbies and we have people that have been around this industry longer than I have, and everybody in between that are listening to these podcasts and watching the webinars and are reading the articles at MLM Help, and we want to support. But on the same token, I'm just trying to really encourage you to, when you hear wisdom of the ages and you know it's wisdom of the ages, then to really get that information, the solid principles from your head to your heart. So number 1 is accept that you have to have specialized knowledge. Formal education makes you a living. If you become self-educated, you create a fortune. Jim Rohn. So what I believe and what we teach is how I operate in the real world, in the business world. It's just it's what I believe. And it's what I've shared with many people, and many people, once they start understanding this whole flow and this whole sequence to get yourself to, you have to get yourself to the right place sequentially. I've talked about for years, you can't learn algebra until you learn basic addition first. And so many gurus and so many people are trying to learn advanced algebra, and they haven't learned the basics yet. They're trying to, their company's opening in Germany, so they're trying to expand into Germany, and they haven't talked to their mama yet. It's ridiculous. There's a sequence. There's a sequence that creates mastery. There's a sequence, and if you get the sequences, you can't go to college and start taking junior classes until you get your freshman and sophomore core work out of the way. It's just the way we are as human beings. But somehow in this profession, if they've got the $497 for our Super Saturday Super Course, we'll take their $497 and we don't care that they haven't talked to their mama yet. And that's a flaw in this business model. That's why the training club is sequential. That's why. I don't do it just to be, why are you so hard about this? Why don't you just continue to do videos or provide more audios after 18 months? Because after 18 months, if you don't have the foundation, you're never going to have it. You should probably do something else. That's why. So, again, I practice what I preach. I'll give you a pretty good example here. Since last November, this past November, I came to some real deep convictions and decisions, and just about time, family, business, obligations, and so on and so forth, and made the decision to shift out of one area that I've been working in. Had nothing to do with network marketing, but to make a shift. And since November, I've averaged about 15 hours a week in specialized knowledge around a niche that I've kind of piddled with and operated in for years, but never seriously pursued over any period of time. A lot like a lot of network marketers. Piddled for 15, 20 years. I've actually piddled in this market more than that, but I've never seriously pursued it for any period of time. And it's the whole buying, investing, flipping, selling, web properties and domain names. But primarily web businesses, building them up, selling them. Again, to me, it's a whole lot like real estate, which I'm also involved in. So I decided, and back in November, this is something I want to master it, because I think it's the future. A domain name is like a piece of land. Whatever you build on that land determines ultimately the value of the land. So that's the website that you would build determines the value of the land ultimately, or of the domain. The domain in and of itself is not that valuable, but if you build the right type of site on it, the right type of property, then you can build it and you can flip it, or you can buy rundown properties and fix them up and flip them. And it's the similarities are unbelievable. But anyway, so I made that decision back in November, and I've identified to this point probably the 5 players in the market, the real players. And I'm learning from 5 different companies, 5 different organizations. I've not yet settled on one mentor yet, because frankly, I don't have enough knowledge or experience to make a competent decision. Okay. So again, the parallels with network marketing are so similar. I mean, what I have found, people that find this podcast, the longer people have worked in the network marketing profession, the more what I try to communicate makes sense to them. But it's harder. It's much harder for them to hear. I mean, they know it's true, but they don't like it. They would rather just be motivated and hear foo-foo dust. And I get that. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I'm not going to change. I'm going to share exactly what I know, what I've experienced, what I know to be true, and let it fall where it's going to fall. Those that have ears to hear, let them hear, and I don't worry about it. So, but continue with my story here. But so not only since November have I just been listening and trying to understand and take copious notes and really, really trying to wrap my brain around all these different concepts, ideas, philosophies from multiple different people, different personalities. Some of them I cannot stand to listen to as human beings, but I respect their knowledge. And I'm sure there's people that listen to this podcast that feel the same way. They cannot stand my Southern accent, but they appreciate where I'm coming from and the knowledge that I try to communicate to you guys every week based upon experience, based upon track record, so some people just appreciate that. And there's a couple of people like that are in this group. So I bet that's been since November, but since November, I've bought 7 online businesses since November, and I've already sold a couple of them. Cause I can buy them and build them up a little bit and flip them and double my money. But, the first one that I actually bought was, dancerholic.com. And I'll kind of share with you this whole process so you can understand and relate it to this profession. And, they were asking $12,000 for it, which was probably about market price. It was on an upward trajectory as far as, the sales and as far as the search engines, getting more exposure, more traffic through search engines. The guy had it a couple of years as a young man in New Zealand, and he started building it. He got laid off his corporate job and started working on this site. And then when he got hired back, he didn't have time to devote to the site, so he wanted to sell it. So that was the story there. But it was on an upward trajectory. It had about $380 in associate income from Amazon. It averaged about $380 a month for the last 12 months. So the beautiful part about the Amazon Associates program, you send traffic to Amazon. If somebody makes a purchase, you make up to 8% on that. And you don't have to ship it. You don't have to stock it. You don't have to answer customer support. You're just getting paid for the click. So he was making about $380 a month at the time. The trajectory, in my opinion, looked really good. I thought it was going to, it would move up pretty quickly. So he was asking, a little less than three years monthly income at $12,000 for the site. So long story short, I'm thinking, okay, 31 months, we can pay it off. And, I'm negotiating with this guy back and forth. And finally we settled on a deal that he was happy with and I was happy with. And that was $8,000 for the site. Normally sites, again, they'll sell for about 24 to 36 months monthly revenue. So I was happy with that. He was happy with it. And I figured, okay, I can pay it off in 21 months based upon the $380 in 21 months. It's paid for. And those of you that are involved in real estate, you can compare it to the real estate numbers. If you go out, and you buy an $80,000 house, not $8,000 website, but an $80,000 house, what if you could have that paid for from your rents in 21 months? So the numbers are very similar, but obviously in real estate, it's going to take a heck of a lot longer than that. So that's why I love this asset. The major challenge came. So the point is, I looked at the numbers. It made sense. We worked out a deal. He's in New Zealand. I got him his money. He got me all the information. We had the transaction done in about a week after the agreement had been made, and everything's rolling, and I'm happy. 2 weeks after we bought it, 2 weeks, Amazon cut their commissions by 50%. So instead of making $380 a month, I was looking at maybe making $190, or about half of that, $190. So what would happen? Well, instead of paying it off in 21 months, it might take 42 months, which still isn't terrible. But see, fortunately, I'd already removed all the fear of taking action before I bought the business. The fear had been removed. And before I do any business, make any business decision, I consciously, intentionally remove the fear before I start. And that's really the second thing that I want to talk to you about, is how do you remove the fear? And because once you accept the fact specialized knowledge is required, how do you remove the fear to take action on that which you're learning? Knowledge without action leads to self-delusion. So how do you remove the fear to take action on that which you're learning? So part 2 is I want to share with you how you can take consistent entrepreneurial action on that which you're learning, the specialized knowledge that you're acquiring. And somebody taught me this formula years and years ago. If I knew who it was, I would give them credit. I'm wanting to say it was in a book from W. Clement Stone, but I don't hold me to that. But the first question I always ask myself is, what is the worst thing that can happen? Before investing in any property or any web business or any other venture, what's the worst thing that can happen? And really, that's probably the most important question you can ask yourself before you embark on any entrepreneurial endeavor. What's the worst thing that can happen? And then you ask yourself, if that happens, can I handle it? Can I handle it? And then I always tell myself, if you have nothing to lose by trying and a great deal to gain if successful, by all means try, do it now. And I pull the trigger. And I know that came from W. Clement Stone's. So when I look at the reason most people have problems taking consistent, progressive entrepreneurial action, the 2 reasons, number 1 is they fear losing money in network marketing. They fear losing money. And some people are so bound up with fear of losing money that they've never been able to invest in themselves ever for anything, even from mentors that they know they needed information from. And you guys have heard me say, I've invested more in courses, books, coaching, seminars than anybody I've ever met in my life. So maybe I'm not a good example of this, but daggone it, I believe in it. I just believe in personal education. I do. I do. And I've gone to events where I've paid thousands of dollars for, and it's a 3-day event, and left after the first day because I wasn't going to waste another 2 days, in that environment, but wasting my time. And again, I've gotten a lot more, I look behind the curtain a lot more than I used to. Okay, which has helped. But in the early days, man, if I could go hear from anybody that had ever done anything, I never looked behind the curtain. I never really thought about their track record. If I connected with them and thought, I can learn from them, I would go. I would invest the money. I'd buy the audios or whatever I needed to do. So number 1 is fear of losing money. And that's something that you need to get past if you have that block, because some of you listening, I know, have that block. Again, how much have you invested in yourself and your own self-education in the last, since you've been an entrepreneur? How much have you invested for intentional learning? And for some of you, that number should be very revealing. Very revealing. And I hope you're nervous in the service. I mean, I hope I'm really disturbing you right now. I hope you think, dang, Dale, you know, I don't spend money on those courses and all that hype and training and all that crap. I don't spend money on all that. I'm motivated, Dale. I know what I'm doing. You're a fool. It's a fool's mentality. Fool's mentality. I love you. You know, please don't, I mean, I'm not trying to get under your skin that much, but a wise person learns from their own mistakes. A really wise person learns from the mistakes of others. There's mentorship. The right mentorship can save years off the journey and can help you, when it's all said and done, earn 10 times what you would have earned doing it on your own. There's a reason people buy McDonald's franchises instead of starting Joe's Hamburgers. Be smart enough to understand. See, I know logically you understand what I just said. Logically. But emotionally, there's a block to investing in yourself. So figure out, where does that come from? Was your dad just a tightwad? What did they tell you when you were a child? Where does that come from? Why would you not invest in yourself? And again, see, I'm just the opposite. So I do, you know, and I always have been. So there's a middle ground here between where you may be and where I am, but I'm going to encourage you to find it. You've got to invest in yourself. There's a lot of very intelligent people that have already come down the road that it makes sense to invest with. Well, Dale, they're just trying to get my money. Are you kidding me? If they are, you know it, and avoid them. You should have enough awareness to understand when you're listening to somebody who's extremely value focused, who has a track record to back up their words, and somebody that's just telling the masses what they want to hear, always giving them a new little red wagon to play with so they're telling them what they want to hear so they can sell them what they want to sell them. And you should be able to distinguish the difference if you've been in business very long. So, fear of losing money. And number 2, fear of what somebody else will think. Those are the 2 main emotions that drive, that prevent network marketers from driving forward. So, and everybody should have one of those 2. Fear of what somebody else will think is a whole different subject. Okay. We get into major details in that and programming your mind for success. And I've talked about how to reprogram your mind, how to create new brain cell patterns, and in multiple other podcasts. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. Just go to programmingyourmind.com. But fear of losing money is something that's more prominent than I ever thought, because it's never been an issue for me. So I've never really recognized how much of an issue it is for other people. So it goes back to, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? If that does happen, can I live with it? You know, and again, that's why in our MLMtrainingclub.com, since the day it was released, you know, it's an 18-month program, but we offer a double your money back guarantee on that program. Why? Because I understand the sequential learning process, that one concept builds upon the other. And I understand that at the end of that 18 months, if people really apply and really listen and really internalize and take what they're learning and put it into action, that they're going to be as bulletproof as they possibly can be. And they aren't even going to recognize themselves in 18 months. And I know that. So we've had that program in the market, over 10 years. We've made 2 or 3 updates. We've added the whole back end training besides the CDs, hours of back end training. And we've never had one request ever for a refund. And I don't think we ever will. If we did, I would gladly pay it because I would just like to spend 10 minutes with a person. It would be worth it for me just to see where their mentality's coming from. It really would. It's like, you got to be kidding me. But again, I know it's given much more value than the investment. And I know that for some, it'll be worth millions of dollars in future income as they build their teams. So again, if you have a problem investing in yourself, deal with it now, like now. Get through that, get past that. And the way to do it, ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? Can I live with it if it does? So if you don't have these two fears, one or the other, then I can almost guarantee you that on your network marketing journey, you're going to end up going broke and losing your credibility. I can almost guarantee it. And thankfully, there's not too many people out there that don't really have a concern about losing money, or at least have some kind of concern about not offending other people or worrying about what other people will think. Okay, that was my big hurdle when I started. And so, again, that's a whole different issue. It's all about subconscious mind. It's about brain cell patterns. It's about programming. But if you enter this industry and you don't have a fear of losing money and you don't care what people think, that's a recipe for disaster. Absolutely. Because what happens is you start chasing the money and you start chasing the dollar instead of providing real value to the market that you serve and to the end user. And when you don't really care, when you're just doing the money grab and you get into the trap where you're just laundering money among friends and network marketing, then you're guaranteed to lose. And, over the last week or 10 days, I've had several email and phone conversations with people that find themselves in that situation. They're jumping from deal to deal to deal to deal, from quick start bonus to quick start bonus to quick start bonus. And they never learned how to say no to some good opportunities so they could devote time to the great ones. They never learned how to say no to the good opportunities so they could devote time to the great ones. And they end up, they're what I call ready, fire entrepreneurs. Ready, fire. And we all know them. In this profession, there's a lot of them. They're just jumping from deal to deal to deal to deal to deal, the next deal. And, but Dale, they had a group, they did this, they did that. Yeah, because sheep follow. They do. They want to be told. They want, the foo-foo dust spreaders are the best at creating followings. And they're not at developing leaders, but at developing followings. Foo-foo dust spreaders. They're the best. And again, I talked about these fire entrepreneurs. It was session 148 of this podcast. So specialized knowledge is required in any entrepreneurial endeavor. Most entrepreneurs have the confidence that goes with ignorance. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that have the confidence that goes with ignorance. And I don't know if it's in their DNA. I don't know if some people were so overly protected by their parents that never let them fail. So they come into network marketing and they think that I just joined, so now let me start my YouTube channel coaching people how to build a network marketing team, and they haven't sponsored their mama yet. Some people are just overly confident, and I don't know where that comes from. But there's other 3%ers that went through horrific challenges when they were younger, and those environments made them strong and tough. They went through a lot of trauma as a child, and that trauma really made them tough. but they don't depend upon anybody. They don't listen to anybody. They're going to do it on their own, or they're going to die trying to get up that mountain. And you see a lot of company owners. I have worked with a lot of company owners over the last 25, 30 years, and that's where they live. When you hear their story, a lot of them went through some really tough times as kids, but it made them strong as they grew older, but it also made them so interdependent that they're not able to really trust or learn from anybody else. And some of you listening, probably that describes you very well. You know, we are all who we are by the time we're 12 years old based upon our parents' authority figures and the environment in which we were raised. We are who we are. And then all we do by whatever people told us we were from the time we were born to the time we were 12, then once we turned about 12, then we start reinforcing with our own self-talk everything that we were told up until that point. And again, that's all programming your mind stuff. The last concept I'm going to share with you, once you accept the fact, no matter who you are, no matter what your background, no matter what your success, and no matter what your formal education you have, to become successful in any entrepreneurial endeavor, and especially when it comes to team building and developing a network marketing organization, specialized knowledge is required. Specialized knowledge. It's required. Systems required. And once you really grasp that and understand that and accept that, then the next concept, the next idea is you have to set yourself up where you won't fail, and set yourself up where you're able to take action on that which you're learning. And that becomes a learned habit as well, I believe. See, I don't have a problem now taking action. And I don't know if I ever really did, but I'm going to take action. That's why since November, we've bought 7 web properties. And, you know, I want to have 50, you know, fairly soon, if I can find them. But I evaluate hundreds a week, hundreds every single week. And like you would if you were investing in real estate. You got to go through a lot, like you do when you're recruiting network marketing distributors. You got to go through a lot of people to find the right people at the right time in their life. It's just a numbers game. Virtually most businesses are. So once you do that and you decide what you want, you've got to schedule the time for income producing and team building activities, even though they may not produce an income or add to your team immediately. Jim Rohn said it, time management's the best kept secret of the rich. You know, Marilyn said it in her message. I gave her a shout out when we started a few minutes ago. Marilyn said it. I can't be so concerned about missing out on company calls and updates that I don't find the time and devote the time to lead generating activities every week. So you've got to schedule the time to get your opportunity and your products in front of people weekly in network marketing. That's the most important function of a network marketer, to get yourself to where you can recruit 3 to 5 new people a month so you can control your destiny. And every business model has an important function. If you're selling on eBay, just as an example, it's like, okay, I want to make $5,000 a month on eBay. Okay, if I make an average of $20 per item, how many items do I have to sell in order to make $5,000 a month? And you do the math. So then your first goal is to get that many items listed. And then your second goal, say that's 330. I'm just pulling these numbers out of the air. Say it's 330 items a month. And so you need at least, probably at least 1.5 times that listed, maybe more. And then once you have that in place, Once you have, I need X number of items listed in place every month. I'm going to sell 3/4 of them. I'm going to average $20 a month. It's going to give me my whatever your income you're looking for, whether it's $500 or $5,000 a month. And you know those numbers. That's your base. Then in that business, it's just a matter of making sure that every week you're replacing. If you sold 13 items this week, make sure that you you got to source 13 items to keep it replaced and keeping your inventory and your levels where they need to be in order for you to make the money that you want to make. And that's with any business. It's just you work it in reverse. The problem and the challenge in network marketing is the numbers are not clear because, they're not clear. Sometimes you'll hit 2 leaders, boom, boom, people that are serious after going months and going through a lot of people and seeing a lot of people start and quit within 90 days. And it's not predictable from that standpoint. It's not predictable because the real product is people. And people are finicky and they're irritable and you just never know what you've got. You might think you have a superstar and the first time they get knocked down, they can't get back up. Okay. The bird's got that one. And you just keep on rolling and you can do that when everything that you're doing is in the foundation of wisdom of the ages principles. I hope I'm communicating what I'm trying to communicate. So you've got to schedule the time. Talk to one of our Leadership Development Academy members this past week, Brian. And Brian, he's got 5 lead generation activities that he's operating now, and they're not streamlined yet, and they're not at the level that they will be. They're not refined at the level that they will be. But my point is, he's taking the information, he's putting it into action, and he's streamlining it. Knowledge without action leads to self-delusion. Look, of those first 7 websites I bought, there's a couple I wish I hadn't. But I won't make those mistakes again. And if they go to 0, can I handle that? Yeah. Then if you can handle it, based upon the knowledge you have, does this look good? Yes. Make the move. Pull the trigger. Make the move. Let's go. Don't sit around. Somebody else, and I've had some that I've waited around on trying to over evaluate, and they got sold out from under me. So everything's got its own yin and yang, give and go. So again, knowledge without action leads to self-delusion. Guys, this is not that difficult. Decide what you want. Decide in your heart and soul and mind. If network marketing is the vehicle to take you where you want to go, then commit to it. Make a commitment. Be dedicated. People ask me all the time, Dale, why aren't you actively, really out there building teams anymore? Because I've done it 3 times. I've got the t-shirt 3 times. I've never failed once building a team. Became the youngest coordinator in the history of the Shackley Corporation at the time I became a coordinator. Now, granted, that was years ago, but that was my first company, and I've never failed. I've had a couple that have went south and gone out of business, and there's been things out of my control, but it is what it is. And to me, I like learning and new challenges and doing things I've never done before. I enjoy that. I love it. So that's the biggest thing. But decide on your vehicle, find the right mentor, and you do that by looking at track record, nothing else, and then gain specialized knowledge. Specialized knowledge. Once you have the knowledge and you start gaining the knowledge, then you have to, at some point, put into action that which you're learning. You just don't want to be a knowledge gatherer. Knowledge without action leads to self-delusion. So you have to put into action what you're learning. And the way to get past entrepreneurial fear is, what's the worst thing that could happen? If that happens, can I live with it? Yes, then do it. If you have nothing to lose by trying and a great deal to gain if successful, by all means try. Do it now. W. Clement Stone. Take action on that what you're learning so you can refine the systems. And then number 3 is just prioritize every week your time and focus and make sure that your income generating activities get done every single week. Your income generating activities. And again, whether we're talking about network marketing or if you're selling on eBay, make sure you're sourcing products every week, or any other business you want to talk about that I have experience or background with. That's it. Those are the 3 steps. And if you do that, you can transform your knowledge into action and your action into money-making results. That's the formula, guys. I hope it's benefited you. For those of you that are wondering, I'll share this with you. Regarding the website that we bought that was generating $380 a month in income, and Amazon made its changes and it went to $190. I felt like it was on an upward trajectory when we bought it. I'd done much due diligence, looked at all the numbers, and when that happened, it's like, okay, we got to take some steps to create more business through that site to get the commissions back up. And when I bought it, I bought it in November and I bought it in March, and I felt like, within a couple months, it would be at $500 or $600 a month. And again, that was prior to Amazon doing what Amazon did. But the bottom line is, just for those of you that may be wondering, because I've spent a lot of time, energy, and effort understanding what I need to do to build the income with these type of websites. This month, what month is this? July. So we bought it March, April, May, June, July. That's 4 months. Wow. But anyway, this month will be our first $1,000 month with that website. We'll barely make it, but we will make it. $1,000 in commissions. And as I told you earlier when we started, these websites can sell for 24 to 36 times monthly commissions. So we're looking at an asset that's now worth $24,000 to $36,000 that we bought for $8,000 in March. So for those of you that were wondering, well, Dale, what happened to that site? That's what's going on with that. Save myself a few emails by answering that. Guys, I hope I've given you some things to really think about this week. Specialized knowledge, action, focus on income producing results for your business model, for network marketing, which is creating leads and following up. And following up is more important than the initial contact. It's not that difficult. Emotionally, there's fear sometimes that are preventing you. There's different things that are preventing you from doing what you need to be doing. Figure out what it is, get past it, get over it, and move forward. Figure it out. Don't just waller. Don't let the same thing that was holding you back 10 years from now be holding you back 10 years down the road. Figure it out. Work through it. Reprogram your mind. Do what you need to do to move forward. There ain't no foo-foo dust. There ain't no foo-foo dust. This is Dale Calvert. I'll talk to you next week on another session of the MLM Success Podcast. You guys have an awesome week. We appreciate you.
If you haven't gone over to iTunes yet and rated and left this podcast a review, what are you waiting for? At Calvert Marketing Group, we want to spend our time on the projects that we know are providing the most value for our clients and customers. You leaving us a review and feedback on iTunes is something that helps us more than you realize. And more importantly, it helps others like you find us. So if you've not taken the time to rate this podcast, please go over to iTunes and do that for us now. It will only take a couple of minutes out of your busy schedule. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business, and we will be back next week with another inspiring success story, wisdom of the ages training, or answers to your questions.